Hello and welcome to this session in which we would look at non-GAAP measures. Now first, in order to understand what's non-GAAP, we have to understand what is GAAP. GAAP is generally accepted accounting principle, which is the framework we need to use when we are reporting our financial figures. Quarterly financial statements, annual financial statements, we follow GAAP. Well, guess what? We're going to also report the numbers using non-GAAP measurement. So we're going to look at other figures that are not GAAP. They are not required by GAAP, but we would like to show you those numbers along with GAAP. So companies often report those numbers alongside their standard GAAP financial statement, and the reason is to provide additional insight into their financial performance, financial position, or cash flow. So frankly, I'm going to tell you why they do this. A company that used to do this often known for is Tesla. So why do you do this? Well, if you are not doing well according to GAAP, if your GAAP figures, because GAAP you have to follow certain rules. What the company is trying to say, look, we don't look as bad. If you take certain things out, well, it's not too bad. But those are, remember, we're telling you those are non-GAAP figures. So we're going to show you our performance if we did not follow GAAP. Why? Well, because we're going to show you our core operation, exactly what we do from an operational perspective, and we're going to look better. So basically, you're trying to look better. You're supplementing your GAAP figure. Non-GAAP measures are intended to supplement the understanding of the company's performance. They are often used by excluding non-reoccurring, irregular, or one-time transaction when these are believed to distort the true performance of the company. So if we take those things out, those one-time thing, could be a corporate reorganization, it could be a major lawsuit or environmental cleanup, or one-time expense. If we take them out, our position would look like this. Okay, this is what we're trying to say. Basically, we're trying to make ourselves look better, or give the users a different perspective of things, because GAAP, it's really like, in quote, penalizing us. Let's take a look at some common non-GAAP measures and explain each one of them. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses, broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today. Some of the non-GAAP measures are EBITDA, EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. We're going to explain this. Adjusted earnings, free cash flow, core earnings. There are 4 things that we can look at. There are other measures as well, but those are the 4 things. We're going to explain each one separately, and you're going to see how does it differ from regular GAAP. What's the point of this non-GAAP measures? As I told you, trying to look better. That's all what's to it. Starting with earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. What is this number telling us? Well, it's given us the operating income of the company before we take into account financing decision. What's financing decision? Financing decision is interest, is debt. Okay? So sometimes the company, Tesla, to be more specific, they need a lot of debt. And they have a large interest expense. But that has nothing to do with producing and selling electric vehicle. That is a form of financing. So ignore my debt. Please ignore my debt. Look at my earnings, look at my E before you look at my interest. Ignore my interest, because interest is a financing decision. Maybe tomorrow I will take my debt and switch my debt into equity, switch my debt into stock, and the interest factor is gone. So please ignore this for now. That's what we're telling the users. Also, accounting decisions. What are accounting decisions? How I make decisions from an accounting perspective. For example, depreciation. This is an accounting decision. How I account for inventory. Because I account for certain transaction in a different way, it's increasing my depreciation. It's increasing my cost of goods sold. It's not really increasing, it's the way I account for this. I have an alternative. Okay, forget about inventory. Let's talk about depreciation and amortization. So please ignore my depreciation, my large depreciation expense, because it's an accounting decision. Also, please ignore my tax bill, because my tax bill has to do in the area in which I operate. I have no control over the jurisdiction. If I operate in Texas or in Florida or in Mexico or in Canada or in Europe or in Ireland, that's going to determine my tax bill, not my operation, not the product that I produce. So earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation, EBIT, okay, EBITDA or EBIT, what we're telling the users is, please ignore those three decisions and look at the core operation. Because let me show you, I should show you this. Here's an income statement: revenue minus cost of goods sold equal to gross profit. Then gross profit minus operating expenses equal to operating income. Then from operating income, we'll start to deduct interest separately. We deduct we deduct also depreciation separately, and we deduct taxes separately. So those three, could you please ignore them? Look here. Look at what I'm doing versus my cost of goods sold versus expenses to operate the business. Don't look at those other things. And I look good. How about that? Okay, that's basically what non-GAAP figures are. Trying to kind of make your financial statement look better than they are. It focuses on the outcome from regular business operation, which is true, and that's the true measurement. If you want to invest in a company, you want to invest looking at the regular business operation by removing the costs that can obscure how the company core business is performing. Again, think of Tesla. They produce electric vehicle. How well are they doing in producing and operating their expenses? Ignore the other ones. Suppose a company, for an example, report operating income of $500,000. The same company has a depreciation and amortization expense of $50,000. Well, therefore, its earning before interest and taxes will be calculated not as $500,000. Well, we really made $550,000, because ignore our depreciation and amortization. It's an accounting decision. It's a non-cash expense. Or, for example, if we have a lot of interest, add back the interest. Remember, once we find a way to remove the debt and refinance full equity, the interest is gone. So we are doing better. That's basically what we're saying. So this is what EBITDA, adjusted earning. Similar concept. Adjusting earning are company's net income with certain item excluded that the company deems as non-reoccurring. They're not going to happen again, or they're not related to our business operation. But what they did, they dropped our net income. These can include things like restructuring cost, asset impairment, gains or losses from the sale of the asset, or from the sale of investments that we don't conduct on a regular basis. For example, a company could have an income of $1 million. Then this $1 million include a gain of $200,000 and a restructuring cost of $100,000. Here what we're trying to say is this. Okay, we reported income of $1 million. So this is net income of $1 million. But remember, within this net income, we have a gain of $200,000. Please ignore this gain. And we have a cost of $100,000. That's not reoccurring restructuring cost. Therefore, if we take those two out, our true earning, our true net income is $900,000. Notice here, you're not even trying to make yourself look good. You're trying to kind of give a clear picture, telling the investors, look, don't look too much into this $1 million. It's really $900,000. Okay? So here, you're not trying to make yourself look better, but you're trying to give a clear picture of what's going on. Okay? Because we have this gain of $200,000. Don't expect this. It's a gain. Don't expect it to reoccur. And this is a loss. Don't expect it to reoccur. If you want to judge our net income, it's $900,000. So we adjusted our earning. Free cash flow. What is that? It's a measurement of financial performance that shows how much cash a company generates after accounting for capital expenditure needed to maintain or expand its asset use. Well, why is this important? Because after you have cash, what you have to do, you have to reinvest some cash into the company. This reinvestment called capital expenditure. You need to buy more equipment, more machinery, more buildings, more warehouses. Those are capital expenditure. So what we're saying is this is our cash minus whatever we need in capital expenditure, and what's left is free cash flow. What's free cash flow? It means we can do anything with it. That's what free cash flow is. This is important because it allows investors to see how much cash the company can generate to pay down debt, pay dividend, and fund growth opportunity. So after you have the cash, you need to make capital expenditure. And after that, you have this free cash flow. With this free cash flow, you can pay off your debt. If you don't have debt, you can pay the investors dividend. If you don't want to pay dividend, you can take this cash and take advantage of growth opportunities. So the higher this free cash flow, the better you off as an investor, the happier you are. So again, that's a non-GAAP figure, but it's important for investors to see. For example, if cash from operation is $300,000, CapEx, capital expenditure, is $100,000, well, we're gonna go ahead and pay this $100,000, and what's left is $200,000. What can I do with this free cash flow? Anything I want to. If I have that, I can pay off the debt if I choose. If I want to reward the investors, I pay them dividend. If I have an opportunity to take an advantage of, I will take an advantage of that opportunity. The higher this number, the happier you are as an investor or as a creditor. Let's take a look at this multiple choice questions from Farhat lectures to illustrate this concept. What is the primary purpose of using earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA, as a financial measure? So why do we do this? What's the main purpose of this? Is it to measure the company's profitabilities, including interest, taxes, and depreciation? It is to measure the company's profitability, but not excluding interest, taxes, and depreciation. Because interest is a financing decision, taxes is a really government decision, and depreciation is an accounting estimate. To assess a company's operation efficiency without the impact of financing and accounting. I think this is basically what I was just saying in A. To assess how good we are without taking into account financing and accounting decision. This looks like a good answer. Let's hold on that. To calculate the company tax liability, absolutely not. You do this on your taxes. To determine the amount of distributable dividend, not at all. This is basically, you want to look at free cash flow here. So the answer is indeed B is the best answer. It's used to analyze the company's operation profitability by removing the effect of financing decision, which is interest, accounting decision, which is depreciation and amortization, and the tax environment, which is the government decide on that. I have no saying. Look at my earnings from what I do. Whatever I do, sell burgers, sell cars, sell computers, provide consulting services, provide educational services. Look at that. Don't look at anything else. What should you do now? Go to Farhat lectures, look at additional MCQs. That's going to help you understand these non-GAAP figures. Good luck, everyone. Invest in yourself. Study for your CPA exam. It's worth it, and stay safe.